Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Solar Sidekicks. My name is Pat Southwell, and I will be your host as I have been on every episode so far. Today, we are recording episode 32, and it's the third one in a row in our All Energy series, which we are recording all today. So we're here 2 days before All Energy and making the most of people who are traveling to Melbourne as part of All Energy, and we'll be interviewing them. So we're 2 in so far, and we're at our third one. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners of where we're recording this today, and that is the Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. And I pay my respects to all elders, past, present, and emerging. So last 2 episodes we have had in today already. We had Lily from Sydney come in, another great chat with Lily, and Sophie from Open Solar made her way from Geelong. Very vulnerable chat there with Sophie. 2 amazing people in our industry, and we're very lucky to have both of them, and really happy they both came in. Cracking episodes, so thanks to both of you. All right, next guest we have in. We've been trying to organise this for a little while, and it's worked out to be able to do it today. So we have Stephen Spring from Omnidian. Thank you very much for coming into Carrum and making your way to the studio. Thanks for coming, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Good stuff. How has your preparation been for All Energy? Like you're here a couple of days early.
Yep.
You've made your way from Perth. You're from Perth?
Yeah, from Perth. Yep.
Yeah, right. How was your travel? All right?
Yeah, good. It was an early flight. So yeah, feeling it at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you'd be on Perth time still. Hang on. So
it'd be 6 o'clock in the morning for you, but I woke up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, right. But now it's it's about 6 p.m. where we are now in Melbourne. So you're on. So it's 3 p.m.
3 p.m. for you. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Geez. Oh, that's all right. You get used to it. So you're here all week?
Till Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Good stuff. Well, thanks for making the trip. And I reckon we're going to have quite a technical episode about this. And that is because you are a tech person in our industry. Not really doing sales or anything like that. You're an electrician by trade. What do you do at Omnidian? You want to talk to a little bit about your role and what involves your day-to-day sort of stuff?
So I'm the operations manager at Omnidian Australia. A day-to-day for us is, we go through all the alerts for our solar retailer, our clients.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Omnidian, you've got your clients are the retailers, aren't they? Looking after fleets a lot of the time.
We also do have OEMs that we look after now.
Yeah, right.
Which is great because not only do we find the faults, we can fix the faults and sorted straight away for the end users.
Yep.
So yeah, our day-to-day there is we go through all the alerts, contact the customers.
Yep.
Just make sure everything's running smoothly. So nothing's worse than when that end user gets that bill and is like, it's going on.
Bill shock. Yeah. So I'm sitting here, right? I'm at the radio station. I've got these control knobs going on. Half of them I don't even know what to do, right? I've got this vision of you sitting at a control desk with a similar type of like this mixer I've got in front of me, trying to work out, which inverter to turn up and down, which one's on, which one's off. Am I on the mark or not?
Early days, yeah. It was like that. Early days, we built a knowledge base, so all the alerts we see, myself and my offsider Hardy, and the other team members, of course, we've slowly been writing out what this area is, what it does, using my on-site experience to fix it, along with the OEMs, how they would think it's going to get fixed. Yeah. So we've rid up a big knowledge base. So early days, we didn't have that. So, back when we started, we didn't have that. So it was all sort of,
you're trying to work your way through it, weren't you? And now you've probably got a bit better systems in place, a bit of experience, and
I can go away for a week now, and
how good's that?
And it's just smooth sailing.
Have you done that so far? You've been able to leave for a little bit?
No, I went away this time last year. I was in Bali for a week.
Oh, that's all right.
And then I went away for Easter as well. So, had the odd phone call.
Yes.
But nothing that couldn't be handled. So
that's good.
Yeah. No phone calls today. That's been
well, that's it. You've left your office and you're you're in Melbourne, so I suppose people still know you're on the clock a little bit. Like you're still here for work. So.
Yeah. A different type of work than I'm not used to. So I was having this conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
Before I was leaving, she's like, the last time you went to Melbourne for work, it was you packed all your tools into the suitcase.
Yeah.
You do some installs, and
now you pack a polo shirt.
Polo shirt. I had to go and buy these before. I don't own any.
Good stuff. Good. Have you been to Have you done an all energy before? Have you been?
This is my first.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's my first one.
Wow.
Since 2009.
Yeah.
And this is my first one.
What do you reckon you're in for? You got any ideas?
I just see all the gifts everyone gets, and so I'm kind of hoping to come back with another bag full of.
Yeah.
And obviously meet some people that I've seen on forums and stuff like that, and do their thing. So looking forward to actually putting some
names to faces, that sort of stuff, getting to know people. Yeah. I suppose you would have. There's an element of isolation, like being in Western Australia. Like it's a 4 hour plane trip. I think 3.5, 4 hour plane. Yeah,
4 hours back.
Yeah. So there's an element of isolation with that, and we're probably a bit blessed on the East Coast, especially if you're in Melbourne or Sydney. That's where a lot of the events are, and more dense population, more people in the industry.
Yeah.
So you would feel that isolation a little bit being away.
Yeah, we do. And the time difference and daylight saving, just kills us. So,
how are you going to go today with the sun not going down until about 7:45?
The hotel room's got blockout blinds. So just close it and.
Yeah. Oh, well,
that is fine.
No, that'll be good. I just want to ask you a couple of questions about getting into the industry. So, I didn't actually realise this until I sent out some stuff for you to fill in and get a bit more information about your journey and where you've been. We'd come close to crossing paths a little bit. So when you entered the industry, you were with Clear Solar.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Charged. Yep.
Yeah. You're guilty as charged. Yeah, well,
against me.
No. Look, we've all got dark stories. I used to work for True Bay Solar, so
I subcontracted to them.
Well, there you go.
Contract. Yeah.
So we've all don't worry, we've all got skeletons. Don't worry about that. So look, I mean, I sort of look back on those sort of times. Clear Solar, when I was subbing to them, that was like right at the start, and they were probably the second or third company I'd worked for doing subby installs. They were sort of the first real volume company that I'd worked for, and it's probably the first time where I started to see some workmanship that was not of the standard that that I would have hoped for. And I also started seeing equipment which is a bit poorer than what I'd been used to using, because I was actually a bit blessed when I started. First two companies I subbed for, we were using SunPower with SMAs, with the the ones with the positive earthing kit. You remember them?
Yeah, I remember them, and then I saw it again like a few years later, and I was like,
I know. Seemed crazy. Yeah, I know. But so we were pretty blessed with that, and we were using good racking at the time. We were still doing all top entry into our DC isolators, all that sort of stuff, of course.
If you have one.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, no, we've always had to have them in Victoria. But
okay.
Yeah, even before they were mandatory in other states. But yeah, some of the stuff you'd see.
We used to use don't want to say it, but used to use like a blue point joint on the roof.
Yeah.
One-way box.
Oh, no, I definitely saw all that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I refer to those days as the dark ages.
Yeah.
But there was also some good times.
It was definitely some good times. Definitely some good times. Pump out a few jobs, and back then there was actually some pretty good money to be made as well if you were subbing.
Yeah, I was always an internal employee. I never had that drive to do my thing until later on in life. But
yeah, fair enough.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so it was 2010 where I sort of started subbing to Clear Solar, and yeah, they were up and down days. Like I had some, we have a laugh about it, just being crap or whatever, but there was actually they were sort of at the forefront of the industry as far as they were probably the first company to start doing solar installs at scale.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah, I'd probably say that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, we do owe a lot to them, even if it's just learnings from where we've come from. It was 15 years ago now. And we didn't know back then what we know now. So I felt I learned a lot of lessons, even just doing subby installs for them. Is that how you feel about your time with them? What did you learn much stuff with them?
Oh, look, because we, going back to the isolation in WA, we had a guy come over for 2 weeks to teach us how to do it. Now,
From Victoria?
From Victoria, came over, didn't know the electrical regs over here.
Yeah,
we had to Sparky tell him what he thought was right. And so a few arguments there. But as you would know, you can't learn everything in solar in 2 weeks.
No.
You can.
Even back then you couldn't, when the standards were nowhere near what they are now.
No, like, just what would you do if you had a split array somewhere? Like, how would you wire that in? Like, no one, go. You had to go back to your basic principles of series parallel circuits. Yeah. Just trying to apply that onto
a solar install. Yeah.
It's sort of common knowledge now, but back then it's sort of like a bit of a head scratcher.
Absolutely it was.
Yeah. Certain tiles, how to install on them. Packers weren't a thing for us. We just put the tile out and just get on with it, and probably created a million roof leaks while we were at it.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of the time where you, like a lot of the tiles, you wouldn't, you just had the tile sitting up, sometimes not even grinded or anything. And you just, I definitely did a few like that where we didn't grind them because it wasn't the thing you did. And it didn't sit up that much. Sometimes I'm like, that's all right. It's not sitting up too much. I don't think water will get him that.
I will give it to the guy who came over. He did tell us to grind the lip off.
Did he?
Yeah. So I always had that. And then when I worked in another company, they were like, why are you doing this?
What's the point?
Just what I've been taught. Like, I just put it back over here. If it doesn't sit right, just wedge another bit of tile under there. And it was sort of a little wave, but it won't. That doesn't.
I've seen.
I like the trick, but it doesn't fit well.
Just on grinding tiles. Like, I know it's sort of going into bit into the future a little bit, and what I've seen inspecting it. Some of the stuff I've seen put under tile brackets or even under tiles to like pack them out.
Yeah.
Like, conduit couplings have just been like stuck underneath a tile bracket to pack it up off the rafter. Yeah. Just one coupling after the other. And then I think they ran out of couplings, so they put like a saddle, just a half saddle sitting there. Wow. And then they just, I've seen it. Yeah. What else have I seen? Oh, yeah, a few like pieces of cable, like 3 or 4 like offcuts of cable. Just sit that on top. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that sort of stuff. Like, you see some funny things. But anyway, that's that's not great.
Industry we live in.
Yeah, it is a little bit. And I think we have come a fair way since then.
Yeah.
Also, did you enjoy your time at Clear Solar? Was it good or a positive experience?
It was an experience, that's for sure.
Yep.
Had its goods and bads. I think, like I told you before, when I turned tradesman, so I finished my apprenticeship off there. And when I turned tradesman, it was I think there was at that point where they weren't financially great.
Yeah.
So they just struggled to pay tradesman rates.
Yep.
Didn't want to leave because they owed me money, and that was a negative thing where I had to pull the pin and
Yeah.
So
okay.
And then I'm kind of glad I did that when I did, because then after I think that was probably around early 2011 they were in a good place.
No, I think that was around the time where things started getting pretty difficult for
the name Akora Energy sort of came in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, so you weren't around for that, for the acquisition or whatever you call it to Akora, whatever that happened there, the name change.
2 or 3 pay slips from
Yeah, right.
Even back then, that's not a good thing. You're changing.
Yeah, that's right. And the banks don't like it when you change employers.
No.
Yeah, okay. All right. And so what got you into your role now at Omnidian? What was it?
Just gradual progression. So look, I kicked around after Clear Solar, just working for subbies.
Yep.
Again, as an internal employee, doing installs. People wanted to get into solar in WA, like they really wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
It was consistent work. People wanted everywhere in WA, so just trying to build teams and do it. And then, so in about 2016, I found myself at Solar.
Yep.
Working for them. I worked for them up until about 2019.
I think you did mention this. Yeah. You know what? We've had similar paths.
Yeah, solar is a small industry.
Yeah, well, so
what side of Australia you're on.
For sure. I was at Solar in 2014.
Yep.
I spent about a year there doing service warranty technician. It's a good job, actually. It was a good company to work for.
Great company to work for.
Yeah.
I lucky enough to get to know the owners, Dom and Wayne. Like they were just really, really great bosses.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. We've had a few podcasts with some of their employees, and they can't speak more highly of the leadership at Solar Gain.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time there. That was But my ambition started to grow when my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah,
and that mortality sort of thing. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, do I want to just continue? I'm not progressing in my career. I'm still just installing, doing service work. So I decided that was it. I was going to do my contractor's license and start my own thing.
Yep.
Because I had a lot of mates who were contractors around, like all around Perth, doing it for everyone.
Yeah.
They all had that, probably easy just to sort of go on wages, So I told myself I wasn't going to get stuck in a subcontracting to retailers. I thought if I can just sort of have maybe two installs a week, and focus on the service side, and sort of fix systems and try and limit, the waste. Although, what are you going to do with all these panels? I don't like that upsell for a system that could work really well if you just, fix the burnt out MC4 that's on the roof. Or, the waterlogged isolator. I enjoyed that because that was more customer satisfaction.
So is that what you were doing? Is that at Solar Gain? Were you doing service and warranty at Solar Gain? Were you doing?
I was there for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I was doing. My heart was still into installs.
Yep.
So I focused a lot on that.
Yeah. Okay.
But coming to the business side, going for my stuff, that's what I really care.
That was where your passion was.
Yeah.
Aftercare sale, or aftercare sales, or aftercare care.
Yeah.
That part of the
post installation help. So.
Yep.
Then I found myself getting approached by a company called Infinite Energy, another big company in WA, just to come on as not a temporary, like a casual 1 day, 2 day a week service tech, paid as a subcontractor.
Okay.
On an hourly rate for like electrical hourly rate, as a subcontractor, and that was one of those things that just wouldn't happen. Like if gone, previous.
For sure. So you were solving a problem for them because they obviously didn't want to put on a full service crew.
Exactly.
So a couple of days, 2-3 days a week for them was enough to be able to.
Look, it wasn't until I got in and I got offered a role there. Like I did their service work for about 3 months. They liked what I was doing, and they offered me a role to come in as a quality control, assurance, and technical support. Because they did have a dedicated service department that would answer phone calls.
Yeah, right.
They needed help to sort of break those down and limit time on site because what a lot of companies do is they will just send a technician to site, show face. They will just, someone's got a problem, we'll send someone there. We don't want you to give us a bad review. We'll just send someone there. So when I sort of got in there, I was like, I don't think you need to send someone to site. We can probably fix that from here. And then sort of open up a whole nother door of like remote fixing, what you can do, just from a laptop or that was.
When was it? So when was that roughly? Because I know systems have gradually become smarter and smarter as they've been connected to the internet or had different software that they've been capable of working with or whatever.
So I started subbing to them. So I did my own thing for about 2 years by myself.
Yep.
And then I started subbing to them in about 21, I think it was.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a bit of a funny thing what happened, the way it happened. So I started there around my birthday in 2021, so about August. I made that conscious decision to go full-time with someone and shut down my own thing.
Yep.
They just gave me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yep.
And then it was in February, the following February, they decided that they weren't going to sell anymore. So I was like going through the motions, like, what have I done? I've just like gave a lot of my contact.
I've done that exact same thing before.
Gave away a lot of contact.
Yeah.
Set myself up to do this.
Yep.
And then the COO and the CEO of Infinite Energy, they came out and said, we're backed by Sumitomo. We're going to honour the warranties for all our customers.
Okay, that would have been good to hear.
So we stayed on with Infinite Energy basically a year until they contracted Omnidian in the US to come over and honour those warranties, and sort of me and some of the team from Infinite Energy, we sort of just rolled over.
Okay. So that's how it all started.
Yeah. Well, I like what Omnidian were doing over there. Like,
yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys get it here, but we used to get it all the time in WA. The sales rep, when you get a problem with your system, we'll let you know. We'll fix it for you. We'll come and fix it. We'll tell you.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
A little bit. Yeah. I think it's probably something. I mean, it's a little bit of a different setup here because we've got different controls in place.
Yeah.
Like inspections and those sort of things. But yeah, I think I've certainly heard people, sales reps, say that. Yeah, most definitely.
Because what happens when I rock up as a service tech, would be, I was told that I was going to get notified when there was a problem, not when my bill came. Like, so, and when I heard that that's what Omnidian were doing in the US, I was like, I can't wait to be a part of that, and see what happens. So, it's been a good ride so far. So,
yeah, cool. Well, that's really cool. And are you working much with, like, do you have, are you that touch point with some of your clients as far as like are you managing accounts of the OEMs or the whoever else your clients are, if you're looking after fleets and that sort of stuff? Like, are you that touch point?
We have our own account for servicing with every OEM. We create our own account.
Yep.
We take on those warranties. We do it.
Yeah.
Like, we have access to all the data. For our clients, so we can. It's the only way we're going to be able to set up our monitoring systems. So we once we get the alert will tell us, don't even bother sending someone. It's going to replace. Just get this information, send it off. So it's all pretty automated. We can get it sort of done in like a day.
Is that your traffic light system or something like that? Is it?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
So, like there's you've got green means no on the site.
Yep.
Yellow means this could go both ways.
Maybe. Yep.
You've got to follow these procedures
and then see. Yep.
Yeah, and then red is basically
someone's going.
Someone's got to go to get the information we need, or it could be something else like a ground fault.
Yeah. Do you find are you constantly refining that process on what is an orange or what is it? Like
with all the new stuff that's always coming out. There's always going to be some new error that's thrown out.
Yeah.
New firmware. I always tell this to people who want to get into the industry or who have been in there and, starting their own thing. We're not electricians anymore. We also need to dive into the world of IT.
Oh, for sure.
Like a Modbus, RTU, like all that sort of stuff. Like that was just unknown to me.
You know what? That's a good point you raised, because I actually get a little bit pissed off when I hear people talk about the solar industry and use the term when they're talking about solar electricians, they're just solar monkeys, like, because they're just doing the same thing every day. Now, the thing is, when you're in the solar industry, you can't be just a normal electrician. Like, if you're going to survive and you're going to run a good business, you've got to be pretty IT savvy just to be able to do the basics, to do the firmware update, that is required to connect it to the internet or, the monitoring or whatever it's going to be.
Yep.
You can't just set and forget like you used to back in the day of Clear Solar. Like, you can't just do that.
No.
We used to turn I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but, we used to turn the system on as we were leaving.
Yeah.
That's basically what you do. And if it stayed on, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're done.
See you later.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't go bang, you're fine. So, and it's not like that now. You've got to program stuff. You've got to know the platform you're working with. You got to have the right settings in, all this sort of stuff. Like, you're actually some sort of IT professional now.
Yeah.
And you're not just
it
labor.
goes all the way to Wi-Fi signal interference.
Yeah.
So, there's a certain OEM who, I remember TV signals being a thing.
Yeah.
And I think they blocked channel 10 because it was giving off up and above because it was feeding interference.
Yeah, right.
So if your router goes above channel 10, it won't connect to it. It won't register it.
Yeah.
So you have to go in physically into the customer's Wi-Fi, change from auto, set it between 1 and 10.
Yep.
1 and 9, and doing those things. You tell just your everyday Sparky do that. Like, customer to ring up Telstra to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yep.
That's exactly right. They probably wouldn't know how to do it either. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. It's interesting. I really feel like Solar Sparkies are quite gifted. Like I do. I've always thought that. It's not just, if some people think they're, all top shit because they're working in construction in the city or whatever. And yeah, all that sort of stuff. And that's, I'm not saying there's an element of that which is hard or whatever, because it definitely there is. You can't call solar installers stupid. They're just not. You just can't be.
I'm also going to say all hard workers, because if you've spent a day on a roof in the summertime, that's a hard day. Like,
absolutely.
That's a hard day.
Yeah, geez, you're hopping in Perth as well because you're getting constant
dry heat.
Yeah, and constant 40 degrees. Like it gets hot in Melbourne, right? It gets 40 degrees and we get lots and lots of days, in the mid-30s and that sort of stuff. But you look at the weather, I always look at the weather in Perth and you get like days on end, sometimes weeks on end of
if you're
high 30s, 40 degrees. Just day after day.
If you're lucky, it falls in your Christmas break.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it down the beach or something.
Yeah, for sure.
There are days there where you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Not anymore. I just sit at the company. But I always think about, the boys on a roof on a hot day. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's a tough job. It's a really tough job. And I think solar installers deserve more kudos, to be honest. Yeah. It's really tough and they're really smart. So anyway, all right. Well, I think we're going to go to our first break, Stephen. That's been a really good start. I think we're going to, after we come back, we're going to talk a bit more about some technical things. We'll talk a little bit about testing and some of the things you see, like maybe whether it's innovative practices that you guys are doing. We'll get a bit techie. We'll get a bit nerdy, I reckon, with the stuff that we both know about. All right. So let's go to our first break and we'll be right back in just a few moments.
Hey solar installers, struggling to keep up with CPD requirements? At Southwell Solar Training, we're here to make it simple. Our online courses are designed to give you the knowledge you need without the sales pitch. With an affordable subscription, you'll unlock access to our growing library of technical courses, covering everything from inspecting older systems to spotting installation defects. Learn at your own pace, earn CPD points, and stay ahead in the industry. Join us today and start learning smarter, not harder. Visit www.southwellsolartraining.com.au and get your CPD the easy and affordable way.
Okay, and we're back from our break. All right, Stephen, we've taken ownership of some mince license, some Tim Tams, just to get through this time. All right, well, they're pretty good actually. All right, what I wanted to ask you about, so you're dealing with a few different companies, you're seeing what they're doing and how they manage their businesses or their operations or their processes.
Yep.
I suppose sort of a bit of a two-pronged question. Like if you would have any advice to companies who are trying to be better with their aftercare service or not having the problems, or maybe if we look at what your better clients are doing to prevent this sort of stuff, like what sort of tips would you give to those companies?
Look, I would tell them to focus more on the front end, their record keeping, and that helps keep an eye on their installers in a professional manner. Make sure they're doing the right thing to your customers.
What sort of records are you talking about specifically? Like what? Do you mean like post-install testing commissioning sheets, or you get
installation photos?
Installation photos, yeah, right.
Installation photos is a big one.
Like what sort of photos? Like, because sometimes do a CE. If you're working, you want to get the CER, STCs. You've got to take your selfies on site and all that sort of stuff.
Doesn't really show me what's going on with the install.
No, it doesn't show much about electrical safety, does it? So what sort of photos do you reckon are the ones that would be really helpful?
Pre-panel photos. So there was a company, Infinite Energy. One of those things you had to provide before they even pay your invoice was you had to have the panel, like the array, everything.
Yeah.
So you could see the deck type, the sealant on it.
Yep.
If you steel cable ties.
Yep. So all the array components that are required.
Even like, to an electrician, installer, you could just see how it was wired. You could just break it down. That looks like that could, create a roof leak because it's on the fold of the tin, and when the water comes down, it hits on the tin fold, just backfills into the roof.
Yeah.
You can see if the tiles have been installed properly.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? So I found what's interesting is that installers that take photos as they go and meticulously take photos of specific things as they go, it makes their work better too.
Yeah.
Because
you got nothing to hide.
Yeah, that's it. Like if you want to take a photo of a deck type, right? Yeah. Well, you can't really take a photo of a deck type that's not sealed properly. Because you look at it and go, oh, that's not right. No. So, it's like quality control for yourself anyway, just doing that.
Yeah. And then one thing, because I used to do all these photos myself. Like I used to take a photo of the, switchboard open.
Yep.
To see how the cables were installed. So if I had any problems with like the fire seal not being done properly, or if I drove away and I wasn't sure if I'd tighten up the hem again, I just go back quickly, pull over, look at the photos. Yeah, I've definitely done that. That thing in your head, and you're just like, wow, what have I done? Like,
mate, I get that all. I get that all the time. Or you've left a tile off the roof or something.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So I mean, we even get a lot of solar retailers might get it as well. It's like that wasn't damaged before you hopped on my roof. There was one of the companies that worked for Infinite Energy. They would literally take pre-damage stuff, like if you had a bent gutter or something like that, you went gutter guards or they'll just say, oh, that was there before we started work, can you just sign off on it, please?
So you're talking about before and after photos, and then if there is damage, presenting it and saying this is here, acknowledge it, please, it wasn't me.
Well, you're walking on, you're putting your panels out, walking them out, you could break a tile, right? If you just walk on the roof, you break a tile, I'm just going to, just next to a foot, I'm just going to put a bit of silicone, right? Instead of just swapping it out, taking that minute or 5 minutes or whatever to swap it out.
So that's not hard. That's not a hard thing, but that can make a big difference. Yeah.
Silicon's not going to last forever.
No, that's right.
I might probably, look, if it's got dust around it, you haven't swept the dust away, I'll probably give it like 5 years before it.
So I say to, when I'm doing my inspections and I see silicon on a roof or whatever, I would usually say to them, I reckon I'll give it 2 to 5 years. Yep. That's sort of what I'll say, depending on different conditions. You can usually tell if it's like the really crappy silicon.
Yeah.
If it's just like the budding stuff. It starts to bubble up, and sometimes it's already peeled. Like, and I will say to them, someone else has done this.
They've used bathroom silicon on it.
Yeah. Oh, you do see that. Well, you can go to Bunnings and, get a tube for $3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty terrible. But if you get the other stuff that's about $20 a tube, that's that's obviously going to seal a bit better.
Yeah, well, it's got a polymer in it. It allows for contraction and expansion.
Exactly, it moves with it, more flexibility. Yeah, that's right. So I do carry some of that, because there has been a time where sometimes I've broken a tile that's like up on the ridge or something like that, and then I would say to the homeowner, I've broken a tile up here. What do you want me to do? I'm happy to get a roof tile in or whatever. And they'll be like, no, it's okay. We've got another one. If you can seal it up the best you can, we're happy with that. And thanks for letting us know. Sometimes there's been that, or sometimes I've found a broken tile as I've gone to get up, and I've called the customer over and I said, there's a broken tile here. Have you had a leak? What do you want me to do? I'm happy to do whatever you want. Sometimes they'll say, look, I haven't got any spares, so can you move it down to the eave? And I'm like, yeah, I'll move it down to the eave and put some silicone on it. And that's, that obviously is going to buy them a little bit more time.
Yeah.
So we do sort of see that a little bit. So you're talking about photos of things, that are helpful for these installation companies.
Well, more for that post-installation care.
Post-install, yeah.
Because, we've talked about what Omnidian does and with the alert system and stuff like that.
Yep.
I can see all that. What I can't see is what your installer's done.
Yeah.
So, like just having those photos can just make a world of difference. You've got single-phase inverters with batteries that, will require a 10 amp, even a 3-phase inverter.
Yep.
And they just, they don't need a 32 amp supply to supply the smart meter.
Yeah, that's right.
They might come off a light circle. They might come off of something else. Right?
Yep.
And then that light starts tripping because there might be water in it, but they're going to call the solar company up. My smart meter's not working, but it trips my lights.
I've never really thought of that. You must see that all the time, that stuff.
All the time. Anything that goes wrong after a job, anything electrical, comes back to the solar company because they were the last one to work on the house.
It's usually the case. The last person who's been out there is the one that gets blamed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solar gets it the worst. I've got a roof leak. Oh, my power points aren't tripping. I've got a backup circuit here.
Yeah.
Ever thought of the HDU cabling in your house? Or
Okay. Well, so you want to also see like internal switchboard photos of like terminations on breakers and feeds from buzz bars and those sort of things.
I go all the way. I tell people, my technicians that go to site, you take a photo of the CT so I know they're the right way around.
Yeah, good point.
Can
you tell? Can you tell most of the time it's the right way around?
You just look at the night time. You're not creating PV in the night time.
Yeah, okay.
To the grid,
Yep.
Unless you program your battery to do it.
Yeah, okay. No, I was more talking about like because sometimes you can just spin them around. That's usually when they're the wrong way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't done it for a while, so I can't remember. But if you spin it around, it will show a negative.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
It'll give you the
negative current. Yeah, coming through. Yeah, okay. But can you usually tell that by looking at it which way it's going, or you've usually got to see the data?
Obviously, it gets harder with three-phase because you have two the right way.
Oh, one the other way. Oh, okay.
Yeah, or they're on different phases as well. So you've got one over your line 1 that's connected into line 2, so it's getting the voltage reference off of that.
Yeah, okay.
That just
throws everything out. Yeah, it's not going to be consistent.
I believe the term is phasing. What some OEMs are using.
Yeah.
So, you've got a phasing problem there. The CT said, what's a phasing thing? It just means that it's on the wrong one. It's just measuring at a different angle. So
yeah, okay. How good do you reckon you are at like diagnosing if something's like an inverter fault or maybe a wiring problem? Like you may have a whether it's a trip breaker or a faulty cabling or maybe a burnt out connection or something like that. Do you reckon you can tell that stuff pretty good doing this job for a little while now?
Talk to my colleagues because I'll be like, I bet it's that.
Yeah. Are you right most of the time?
90% of the time. They come back like, I've done it.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's good. Have you got a claim to fame, the one you got that you even surprised yourself with?
There's I do like to take on those ones that they've had like 4 or 5 site visits.
Oh yeah.
I like to be the guy that goes out and Ron is the last guy. That's something I try to pride myself on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had one. It was a battery inverter with backup. The smart meter was probably like 60 meters away from the house. It was hardwired too.
Yeah,
but it was wired in pink Cat 5 cable at 60 meters, right up against the AC cable. So I got to get out there because it just needs a shielded cable on it. That's all it was. Like,
yeah, right. What sort of problems was that causing?
It would just throw out all the readings,
interference
into the Cat 5 cable.
Yeah. So what were they just using, like a normal Cat 5, not shielded?
The pink ones back in WA, they're rated for they rated
the C-bus type ones.
C-bus cable.
Yeah.
They've got a 240 volt rating.
Yeah.
But it doesn't protect it from interference.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was throwing out the readings. So and obviously the higher the production from the inverter, higher the current, sillier the readings.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you find, like, I know voltage rise is a big problem in WA, right? Because I know I know that just a lot of people I talk to in WA have this issue, and it's a bit to do with the grid. The grid's a little bit different over there, and a lot of WA, even what is it called, the Southwest Grid or something you call it, whatever it is, down. Yeah. Whatever it is, the main grid in WA. It's still quite isolated, a lot of parts of it. Like you've still, you get to the end of whether it's a swirl line or whatever it is, you get to the end of the grid and you're, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometres away. So, the infrastructure out there may not be as strong. So you get to have issues with voltage rise in those areas. Do you see that much? Is that causing...
You still see it.
You still see it?
On a regular basis.
Yeah.
You one thing... a lot of people are doing, like even just taking screenshots of your calculations when you're on site.
Yeah.
We always tell people, especially it gets hard when you've got like those Balac blocks, right?
Yeah.
Big ones. They put the house at the back, and there's like a stupid cable run.
Yeah.
With the minimum sizes over there. I'll always tell them to sell it with a smart meter and lower it. Just put export limiting on it, because it might not be now, but it's.
So do you reckon that's because I mean, there's two things to this, right? In WA, you're going to have, well, not just in WA, just when you're talking about voltage rise, okay? I think voltage rise also sometimes gets put in the same category as high voltage, right? Yeah. So if you've got voltage rise that's caused by the solar, obviously it's going to cause a high voltage to the grid. But sometimes you've got issues, especially in WA, I know this does happen, where your grid voltage is already high before they've even got solar in.
Yep.
You still seeing that? Because I know you've still got...
I reckon there needs to be like a mandatory site inspection from some of the places, like
to check the grid voltage.
Check the grid voltage.
Yeah. So is it still the case where the grid voltage in WA is 240? Now we're on the eastern side of the country, we're at 230.
Yeah.
Are you guys still at 240, or maybe your tolerances are higher?
We still use 230, but
that's not reality.
It's not reality. You go to any PowerPoint, test it, it's 240.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very rare you'll see 230.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still seeing high voltages before they'd even have solar, and then they go put solar on anyway. Do you see that? And then it just doesn't really work.
Yeah. Look, it's the people who do it. They just care about the sale. They don't care. They'll deal with the after thing afterwards.
That's a problem though. That's still an issue in the industry, isn't it? Yeah. That's.
I don't know if it's level of training as well. So I don't know if you're teaching. I mean, I think it's a great thing that you've got designers now that can sell.
Yeah.
But I think that needs to be a little bit more training towards volt rise. I suppose trying to teach people who don't understand voltage is probably that learning, that learning curve they're going to have, right? The teaching curve.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think from my understanding, I haven't been through it totally yet, but the with the new AS4 777.1, it sort of is addressed a little bit with the voltage rise, and there's a lot of stuff in there about using export limiting to combat your voltage rise, which I'm not aware. I had an episode with Sandy Atkins a few weeks ago. I still haven't followed up, and it's going to be, this standard's going to be mandatory come, I think, February or something like that. So I have to get my head around it. But I think we are thinking about these things a little bit differently in the industry now, and hopefully that's going to be a bit of a better solution for us.
So one of the other things we always see as well is one of the questions we always get back is you might not have the high voltage issue, the alert that comes through. We might get one of those reactive, the customer calls in and they're like, I bought a 5 kilowatt inverter from you, it's only doing 4.2.
Yeah.
And then you've got to try and understand, explain the what reactive power is.
Yeah.
And use the old
How do you explain that? That's a thing. That's hard, isn't it?
The easiest way to do it is, you're buying a beer.
Hang on, can you tell me this one? Yeah,
you're buying a beer.
Yep.
The whole thing's beer, right?
Yep.
The stuff below the froth, that's true beer.
Yep.
And the stuff the top, the froth, that's not real beer. That's your reactive.
That's your reactive beer, reactive power beer. Yeah.
So that usually gets across to most.
I think I might have seen something on social media about that. I think actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You're apparent, you're true, and you're reactive.
So you can't really use it.
Hey.
You can't really. Is that what it's?
I'm not going to send it off in an email. But if I can grasp the type of customer it is,
cool.
I could probably tell you what it's like with it. In beer. Yeah, I can. Yeah, right. Yeah. So. So you can usually, grasp it that way, but I'm not going to send a picture of a beer. This is what it is.
Oh, that's quite good. What do you reckon about so, especially in Western Australia? First of all, are you just working mainly in Western Australia? Are you looking after other fleets?
Other fleets
in
Australia wide.
Yep.
Yeah.
So other states as well. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask about inspections of systems. Right. So we've got Victoria. We've got mandatory inspections, and most other states don't have them. Some do in some capacity. I bang on about it all the time. I think all states should have them.
Yeah.
How do you think, or do you think Western Australia would benefit from some type of mandatory inspection? Now, whether it is a mandatory inspection on every single job, or at the moment, you've got 5% or roughly that coming from CR inspections, and then you may have some of your DNSP. Western Power may do some, or whatever it is.
I think the problem we have in Western Australia is the inspectors there, they do everything. It's not just solar. They're there to inspect everything. So they have just a general understanding of every part of it, right?
What inspectors are they? Are they like are they the Western Power ones you're talking about, or are they?
Yeah. So they're just, they're not. I don't even think they're Western Power. I think they've like offset, privatized it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. But they're working for Western Power, aren't
they? Yeah, they work for the electrical regulator.
So that's energy safety WA.
Yeah, they're all sort of tied in.
They're all tied in, are they? Yeah, right.
So
okay.
So they're very. But there's we don't have just solar inspectors going out to do the prescribed stuff.
Yeah.
So that they might see something, it might be right, and they might not. It's wrong. So they'll just give you an infringement notice and say, come back and fix it.
Yeah.
It's actually right. It's installed to the manufacturer's specs. Here they are. You have to physically explain why it's right.
Yeah, so that's inefficient.
And then it goes the opposite way, right? Mm-hmm. It goes, they might not know what they're looking at. Well, that seems right, but it's not,
So there's potentially a lack of training because there's no formal qualification in WA. I suppose like there is in Victoria, but you don't have that formal training over there for the inspectors. Yeah, so do you reckon that would really help solar installers if there was some sort of more of a formal qualification or something that had a little bit more substance? Because it doesn't seem like there's too much.
Maybe if they started setting up, dedicated things, solar inspectors.
Yeah, like an LEI in Victoria, like a similar type of thing.
Yeah, I think the industry would benefit a lot out of that. Because what happens is, it's up to the contractor to figure out what's going on. And the contractor will talk to friends and stuff and say, oh, I've got this. Like, we can't go to an inspector over there. We just can't physically get in contact with one. When you do, they pretty much just turn around and say, you're the tradesman, mate. Figure it out.
Work it out, you say.
And then you only ever hear from it if you've done something wrong.
Yeah. I really feel like that's an approach that could be managed a little bit better because it's hard being a solar installer. There's a lot to be over. Just to have someone give you that bit of guidance, I think would be really helpful, especially for the younger ones and all the inexperienced ones.
It's a confidence building thing for them as well. So, first year tradesmen, right? They go do a couple installs. They might not know if their installs are bad 3 months down the line.
Yeah.
And then they've got 3 months worth of work that they've got to go back and fix. It's just going to, and then they're going to be questioning themselves on the job.
Yeah.
I've done this right. I've done this right. Who can I ask?
Yeah. Have you got to with your job and you're doing desktop audits, I suppose, and you're seeing stuff.
Yep.
You got any bad defects you found, or just some scary stuff that you were like, oh, geez, that's not good.
Not off the top of my head, but
you
see so much, like what
you're probably seeing more poor workmanship every now and then, are you? Where stuff just hasn't been done right.
Yeah, and then they try to hide it when they put in their photos,
Yeah.
I mean, I saw one guy he had tilts. He had 6 or 7 tilts, nice sun power panels. Didn't tie up the bolts. He said, no, the weight will hold that.
Oh, really? He didn't tie them up.
Didn't tie them up. And then big gust of wind came and blew all 7 over.
Did it really?
Yeah, destroyed the guy's patio.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. We do laugh at solid defects sometimes, and they can be bad. But yeah,
I was like, wait, that's you thought that was gonna. Yeah, it's like a few hundred kilos weighing it down. It's like that uplift.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
That was one that just surprised me when he said I didn't have to tighten them up.
Yeah, right. So he hadn't tightened them at all. He just didn't tighten the bolts up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Just left it. He goes, yeah, I done the bottom one so I didn't fall backwards.
Yeah.
But I just didn't tighten the.
Oh well. Look, I'll give it to him for being honest.
Yeah.
And saying
And he went back and he fixed it.
Yeah.
And he learnt from it. And, it's just one of those ones. Just like,
yeah,
you've just said that to me. Like, maybe if you said, oh, maybe I forgot to tighten them up. I didn't tighten them because the weight would hold it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what relationship do you think workmanship has in relation to systems being required to have aftercare on them because something has gone wrong? Is there, clearly there's a direct relationship, but
Well,
do you think like if there's poor workmanship, you're definitely going to find something wrong in your experience? Is that what you found?
yeah, like but no one's there to tell them otherwise, right?
Yeah, so they don't know.
They don't know. And CER inspections feel like, well, few and far between, and I do get some that come through when I was doing it at Infinite Energy, they'd come through with such like broad, comments like this doesn't abide by section 1.6. They don't go into detail.
Do you talk about CR inspections?
Yeah.
I do agree with that from the ones I've seen, because I do CR inspections as well. I think it's important to be as detailed as you can when you're doing the inspector recommendations and
say why it's wrong.
Yeah, and where it's wrong, why it's wrong. So they're the things you need to put: where it's wrong, why it's wrong, and then they do give scope to put a recommendation.
Yeah,
and you really need to be quoting clause numbers.
Yeah,
and why it doesn't comply with that clause. Yeah. I agree. If it just says it doesn't comply with 1.6, that doesn't mean anything. And you've got to say why.
It's such a broad, broad thing to say. And they're sitting there scratching their head. Well, yeah, I fixed it. I don't know what I fixed, but what do they do? Rewire the whole array or? Yeah.
See, a lot of that probably does again come back to maybe a lack of training with some of the inspectors. Like, because I find a lot of the inspectors in Victoria who do CER probably have done Solar Vic inspections or their LEIs, and they do prescribed inspections, and they're kind of used to having to write defects in a certain way. So that's actually one thing that worries me about other states away from Victoria. When you look at the stats, Victoria sits pretty well as far as non-conformances go. Like, we don't have too many. But you look at the other states, and it worries me that even when the non-conformance rates are much higher in other states, I would wonder, like, what a Victorian inspector would pick up if they went over to these states to find out, because a lot of Victorian inspectors would have been trained because they've been given the opportunity to be able to do this training and been given a qualification. Like, yeah, I'd hate to think what I'd find in other states.
From memory, in the early days, we used to get the CER inspectors flown over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, okay.
One stage, and then I think they slowly started building up a.
Okay, I remember hearing a lot of inspectors used to do a lot of travelling.
Yeah, probably was to WA to
probably to WA. Yeah, interesting. Well, yeah, I think that's somewhere we could improve from other states, and not just from the WA regulator or other states' regulators, but from the CER. Like, I think that they are very much looking to be on top of fraudulent activity.
Yeah,
and they're quite good at that now. Like, you have to take self. You can't get away with anything now. No, really. No. It's pretty hard.
Needed to happen.
Yeah.
Guys on doing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One guy doing 5 sites.
Yeah.
A day, like.
Yeah. Or things like I like how they now talk to other government departments like Border Force, and if someone's over in Bali signing off systems.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that. That's a thing now. Installers know they can't get away with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's been a good thing from the CER to be able to do that. And hopefully, look, I mean, I don't know if that's going to make much difference for electrical safety. I think the thing that will make a difference for electrical safety is having the inspectors well trained and making sure they're doing all of the right stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be like an X amount of years in the industry installing, not just or X amount of installs. I was on a roof, so what you're looking at is wrong.
Yeah.
Or what you feel is wrong, and then you can explain it in a certain detail. I just don't think some inspectors out there have that knowledge. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. I think it's imperative that they need to know that sort of stuff, and if they don't, it's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also, you can build up relationships and each other out. It's when you sort of don't do that, when the industry can afford it.
Look, I think this is it, right? I feel like anyone trying to solve these problems, like, we're solving the world's problems here. It's sitting here having this discussion, but I feel like it's all about cooperation, like, and helping each other out.
Yeah.
Like, if we all did that a little bit better, and I feel like if regulators or government departments or whatever would all assist us to do that, and all work together, we'd get better results for everyone.
But because the industry is so cutthroat as well.
I know.
Yeah, it's just...
But I do find though now that there's a lot of... There is more collaboration now between installers than there ever was. I think they're a bit less defensive of their own patch now, which I think is good.
Yeah, I've seen a change probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like a big...
for sure.
A welcome change as well.
Yeah, it has. I think it has been a welcome change. And yeah, I think people appreciate people who've walked in similar shoes to what they have to be able to, help them with something.
Yeah,
they could talk about.
Yeah, but I would have been scared to ask on any forum in 2018, what could I do about this? Or 2017, what could I do about that? And just get eaten alive by people, But today, no, we need to do this. Like
it's definitely got a lot better. People are a lot more respectful.
Yeah.
To what they used to be.
The comments like, hand your license back.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Not helping anyone.
No, that's right. I think the attitudes have definitely got a lot better, which is good. And hopefully we can, pass that on to the younger people coming through the industry as well, learning as well, and have them have that attitude as they enter too. I think that will be beneficial for everyone. All right, cool. All right, well, I reckon we're going to go to our second break now. We'll chat about a few other things. We'll keep it technical, I reckon. It's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been good.
I feel like we have. I almost feel like I'm sitting around a campfire with this, solving the problems of the world, a couple of beers or whatever. It's been good. It's been really good. All right, well, we'll go to our final ad break, and we'll be speaking. We'll solve more of the world's issues coming up.
Hey solar installers, struggling to keep up with CPD requirements? At Southwell Solar Training, we're here to make it simple. Our online courses are designed to give you the knowledge you need without the sales pitch. With an affordable subscription, you'll unlock access to our growing library of technical courses, covering everything from inspecting older systems to spotting installation defects. Learn at your own pace, earn CPD points, and stay ahead in the industry. Join us today and start learning smarter, not harder. Visit www.southwellsolartraining.com.au and get your CPD the easy and affordable way.
Okay, and we're back from our last break. Bit more of a discussion before we wrap the show up. So, Stephen, we've had a good chat about a lot of stuff.
Yep.
One of the last things I wanted to talk to you about, where do you reckon the future of solar installations is going to be heading? And what sort of industry challenge you reckon we'll have? Well, let's stick to the future first. What do you reckon the future is going to sort of look like? Maybe with whether it's technological advancements or that sort of stuff. What do you reckon?
Judging from what we've seen from the last 10 years, we've gone from inverters, no internet connection, to smart meters, to battery, all these things.
Yeah.
And with electrification being, a big thing at the moment, I see those two combining, and we're having, pure smart houses that the solar consumption will tell your washing machine to turn on certain times, your aircon to come on.
Yeah.
And then, like it goes back to what I said before, the solar installers won't just be solar installers.
Yeah.
There will be, retrofitting appliances, and being those go-to people.
Yeah. So you reckon it's just, you reckon this is like the full electrification? Like we speak about that a bit in this industry. I suppose it's not, you're sort of talking about automation as well.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Automation and electrification.
You can already tell I think there's some aircons out there you could got Wi-Fi connection to. You can already tell, I'm going to turn my aircon on so it's nice and cool when I get home. There will be something that, if you program it to, if my solar is doing this, I want it on. So I'm not drawing any power from the grid and spending money.
Yep.
I'm just, self-consuming 100%.
Yeah, okay. So do you reckon that's also like load management, which is going to be something that we're going to see?
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of things now, like we talk a lot about export control with solar. And now we're talking about, electrifying everything, making it more efficient and automating. Do you reckon like managing your loads is going to be something we're going to see, which is going to be more beneficial?
You see it sort of happening now with, the Watt Pilot.
Yeah.
Doing hot water pumps and stuff like that. And EV charging. it's only a matter of time before you expand to air cons, and other appliances that do have a higher load consumption.
Yeah, that's it. And EVs are going to be a big one, as well. Integrating and all that. But it sounds like what you reckon. Like, I'm sort of happy to sit with you on this prediction. Like, sounds like it's the whole household, I suppose, or premises.
Fridge,
anything that takes a load.
Yeah, and you're going to measure your consumption. You're going to know properly. Like, So that's where I think we're going to head. So.
Yeah, I reckon you're right, and I sort of see glimmers of this sort of stuff happening already. I know there's some, like you mentioned, the Watt Pod. There's other products out there which are sort of starting to do this. And if you look at, I'm certainly not an expert in this area, but I know there's been a lot of talk recently about there being too much energy being put back out into the grid, especially in the springtime during the middle of the day, and it's creating issues with there's a lot of large-scale solar which is being curtailed at the moment because there's just too much solar being pushed back out.
Yeah.
So, but then again, we've still got coal-fired power stations which are running, at night and all that sort of stuff. So we need a way to be able to harness that energy to either use more of our power during the day or to be able to, save it and use it at night somehow.
Yeah, so I know that Western Power at the moment, they've got some big Tesla banks in certain suburbs. I think it's a big trial.
Is this? I've heard about this. Yeah,
we've got a few, and they've got big Tesla banks that just to stop PV saturation, between the hours of 10 and 2. So I think it's we'll probably see a lot more of them happening as well.
Yeah,
just at high areas of PV saturation, they'll definitely have these battery banks to help.
Are they like community batteries, or are they more of they? Are they?
So obviously the energy retailer will benefit the most out of it because they'll get that excess power, they'll put it into their batteries and sell it back to you, later on. But then it'll also help the strain on the grid.
And that's what we need. I'm quite fascinated with the grid in WA because it's a bit different to the NEM.
Yeah,
and you're isolated as well. Like, you're not. You're not connected to the eastern states, so it is a little bit different. You're doing your own sort of thing over there, but I believe there's not that much large scale solar. I think there's a fair bit of rooftop, from my understanding, but not that much large scale. Still a lot of coal, from my understanding.
Yeah, they're just. I think they opened up a new one not that long ago.
Coal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't really follow that.
No, that's you know what?
That's not my area.
This is funny, right? Yeah. I'm sitting here as if I'm some sort of expert or whatever. I'll listen to other podcasts and they talk about large scale solar and other coal-fired power stations and all these other terms. Man, I got no idea. I guess I sit here and use these big words. I don't know.
I can tell you how to fix your solar system.
That's it.
Nothing about the coal station.
That's it. We're just small-scale solar hacks, I suppose. But it's still a great industry, I feel like, we work in. And it's an important part. I think it's an important part of the grid and a big part of the grid too, the small-scale solar industry. So that's all pretty cool. What challenges you reckon we're going to see? Or what challenges you reckon we've got as an industry moving forward? Do you reckon it's more compliance? Like, do you reckon that's where the challenges are coming from? Or do you reckon it's companies that are not being proactive enough and, creating issues in...
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Every company that we deal with is different.
Yeah.
They have their own way of doing it. And we have found that no company is the same. How they keep their paperwork or...
For sure.
And how they run their business. They're actually all different, all do their own thing.
And you guys are pretty fluid with that too, aren't you? Like, you're happy to, you just take whatever information is available and process that, or interpret that the best you can.
Yeah. So like I said before, the thing I would like to see is those the minimum requirements of photos on site lifted, because that's all solar retailers are keeping at a bare minimum. What's been put on the STC claims.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really help the service technician trying to do it remotely or,
we're sure
trying to fix it.
I can see you're strong on this. I can see you see it as a huge issue. Like,
record keeping.
Yeah, record keeping. Yeah, just getting it right. Not just the STCs, but actually
test results. The amount of times you can't prove there's a ground fault. You can prove there's a ground fault if you do your testing. If you were to do your insulation resistance test on the panels, say you had 10 facing north, 10 facing east.
Yep.
And you had 2 different resistances. Telling you there's a problem.
Yeah.
If that resistance is like 200 mega ohm or difference, then you've definitely got a problem.
You've got something going on.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the stuff we see, some water in the panels.
Yeah.
It's that ground fault's from watering grass. So how do you know that? How do you know that? And you can see from some test results where they come back and it's like 20 mega ohm on a dry day. Now, not many people know how manufacturers get their testing, their testing requirements. There is actually a formula that they have to follow, and it's 40 mega ohm divided by the panel.
What do you mean? It's by the panel what?
The square meterage of the panel. So
really?
So,
I didn't know this.
Yeah. So
right.
If you have a 2 by 1 meter panel,
right,
gives you that 2
meters, 2 square meters footprint. Yep.
So 40 divided by 2, 20 meg. So your rule of thumb for testing should be 20 meg ohm.
Is that right?
Yeah. They got to do it for a minute, but if you've got they're sitting there as a dry test on a nice sunny day, and you've got something wrong with that array, it's going to fail.
So is that okay, interesting. Yeah, right.
That's just my rule of thumb.
I didn't know that was a thing. Like I've learned something there. I didn't know that.
It becomes a whole different thing.
Yeah, I know. It changes everything.
Yeah,
you've got different impedances inside those. Yeah, no, I understand that.
I would see 20 meg on a optimized system as a great thing, and 5 meg is a bad
thing. Yeah, and that's great. Oh, that's a really good tip for everyone, I reckon. I had no idea that was a thing. That's like it makes sense that it is. I just never thought of it that way.
If you're saying that panel was failed.
Yep.
And that panel isn't sitting at 20 mega ohm, when you've taken it off, no fly leads attached.
Yep.
Yeah, 20 mega ohm, pos or negative to earth.
Yep.
At 1,000 volts.
Yeah, at 1,000. Yep.
Because that has to be at 1,000.
Because that's what they're rated to. Yep.
Then that panel, if it's over, then that panel is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. What about, do you know this then? Because now I'm, you can sort of be the teacher here. If you've got 2 panels and then they're connectors in series, does that 40 then become 20?
Well, no, if you're doing a warranty claim,
it
has to be.
Oh, you have to do them separately.
Yeah. If it's paralleled, then I'd expect to see a lower resistance,
Sure.
You go back to your
electrical theory and your
resistance is going to be lower than the highest one.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. There you go. All right. I never thought of that. You know what? That's also because me being an inspector, I'm not doing as much fault finding as I was before. Yeah. Just writing out defects. No, but it's
I'll come back, fix it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, no, I wouldn't even do that.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't write ground fault. I'd be like writing IR fault.
Yeah.
Like insulation resistance has failed between earth and this positive conductor. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what you write as inspector. You write where it is, you write what it is, and you write what it doesn't comply with.
So just on the topic of ground faults,
because
one of the biggest pains that I see all the time is, you've got a constant ground fault. So that's always in that state, right?
Yep.
Then you have other ones where it'll only show up in certain conditions like dewy.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
A lot of ones we see from the dew, so the loose MC4 connections. That goes back to what I said before. If you've got a difference in two of the same brand of panel, you've got 10 facing one way, 10 facing another way, and you've got 2 different readings, then you've probably got something going on. So that's going to fail in dew conditions. So
right, in dewy conditions.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or if water gets in somewhere it shouldn't be getting into. In the rail, if you've got landscape panels, it just goes down, you nick the cable and you don't know, but
interesting. That's very interesting. One more thing I want to ask you before we sort of wind things up. I had Sandy Atkins from Energy Safe Victoria. So I don't know if you know Sandy because he's from Victoria. You've heard Sandy. Yeah, he's the guru, mate. He knows everything about solar and works for ESV. Great guy too. When we spoke, I was a little bit surprised at something he said, but it makes total sense, right? So he thought that purely cleaning panels is more likely to cause more damage than it is do good, right? Now I'm not necessarily talking about performance of the panels, because the panels need cleaning, right? You got to maintain them, you got to keep them clean. Yeah. But the action of cleaning them is more likely to have a detrimental effect if you only clean them, right? If you're not, so people who are going out there and just cleaning panels, he's sort of trying to say that they're more likely to do more harm than good because of the issues that can come with cleaning.
Yeah,
have you got any thoughts on that?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I've saw that new device. I don't know if you've seen it. They put on the panels.
Yeah,
rolls across.
I've seen them. Yeah.
I just worry about the weight that's distributed.
Hot spots and micro cracks.
That's where I think, when cleaning the panels, that sort of thing. Like if they're not trained to know that if you put your weight on it, push a little bit too hard, because you just scalp it a little bit, doing damage to the cells and that.
Interesting.
And the breakdown comes, and then that's not warranted.
Interesting. It's interesting, that whole cleaning panels thing, because I think everyone thinks, well, no, not everyone. There's a lot of people out there that think it's just like washing a window.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not. There's more. There's a pretty sophisticated electrical equipment in there which is sensitive and built in a certain way.
There's a theory. I haven't even looked it up or anything.
Yeah,
but it was like if you're using something with chemicals, it can lead to the browning. Those
brownings of the panels. Yeah, for sure.
Like that was just a theory, and I've never wanted to follow up.
No,
I just heard it. I was like, you know what? Kind of makes sense.
For sure it does. Well, anytime I've ever given any type of maintenance advice or anything, I've always said just steer away from chemicals.
Yeah.
Just don't go. Just water with a soft brush.
Yeah, that's it.
There may be some manufacturers that say you can use some sort of soaping agents, but I would have always said, look, if you just use water and a soft brush and you're not too hard, generally you'll be okay. Watch out for isolators. Watch out for connectors.
Isolate the whole system before you go.
Well, that's right.
It's on the
make sure you're doing all that stuff too.
It's on the inverter. Make sure you do that.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's a really interesting topic, I think. And you probably seen. Have you seen a bit of? Do you see much of that with the cleaning? Like, is that like where there's issues that come up from that?
So, we've had people do like spray painting around stuff and
I've seen that. How bad is that? Yeah,
clean them without chemicals.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can't.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. We could sit here and talk about this.
Yeah.
All day, I reckon. All day and night. Well, it's already night time now, so we probably could. All right, cool. Well, it's been a great episode, Stephen. I really appreciate you making the journey and coming in. I've learned a bit from that. I really appreciate you giving me that information about the 40, what was it again?
20 meg.
20.
I use it as a rule of thumb for every test I do, so...
Yeah. So 40 divided by 2 because it's a 2 square meters. Send it to me.
Square meters of the panels divided by 40. So rule of thumb, a 2 by 1 panel,
yep,
divided by 40 should be equal 20 meg.
Love it. All right, so 20 meg. All right, that's really cool. All right,
at the bare minimum.
As a minimum. Yeah.
And these go up to like giga,
on a wet day or a dry day? Doesn't matter. Is that
a dry day? If you're hitting 20 megas on a dry day, it's no good.
No good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Love hearing this stuff. That's a really good tip. All right, cool. Well, before we wind things up, just wondering what you're thinking about All Energy. So we mentioned it before. Like, looking forward to seeing a few people that you may have spoken to on the phone.
Been annoying to
Yeah.
I've never met Rod Jewell face to face.
No. Yeah. What a guy.
From Solar Edge. I've spoken to him for like the last 4 years.
Yep.
Finally get a chance to meet him, so looking forward to seeing these people who've helped me.
Yeah.
So
it'll be great. It'll be the who's who, mate.
Yeah.
Solar industry, they'll all be there.
Yep.
If you haven't been to many conferences before, the what I would give you as some advice, your footwear, don't worry about what it looks like. Make sure you go for comfort. So
already wearing my runners.
Yeah, runners, 100%. Go with the runners. That's all good. And the other thing is, be careful what people you do run into and who's going to bail you up, because sometimes it can be hard to get away from conversations. And sometimes you're like, you walk 5 meters, you run into someone else. You walk 5 meters, you run into someone else. Yeah. The people who've been around a little while will know exactly the pain I'm talking about. And sometimes you've just got to be rude and move on because you've got stuff to get to.
Yeah.
And you can't just be talking all day. You've got to get to your things you need to get to.
My throat's going to be sore tomorrow. So
It's going to be after this today. Great stuff. All right, cool. All right, do you have any final comments before we wrap it up there, Stephen? No. Pretty happy with how it went?
Yeah, very happy with how it went.
Yeah, really good, mate. I'm really happy you came in and we had a chat about all this sort of stuff. So I really love the technical chats. I love all the podcasts we do. I feel like I'm really in my zone with the technical chats, and it's really cool. So it's much appreciated you coming in. All right, cool. Well, we're going to wrap this episode up, and I'm sure we'll run into each other over the next few days at All Energy. Definitely. So yeah, it's much appreciated you coming in. Actually, one more thing before we go. You answered this in the notes. Solar Sidekick or Solar Superhero?
Definitely a sidekick.
A sidekick. Yep.
I've always offer support for the people in business.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely a sidekick to the heroes.
So I reckon that in turn makes you some sort of superhero as well. Yeah. But that's just my thoughts.
Just not that narcissistic to say, I'm a superhero.
Look, I've been pushing people recently because a lot of people do go for the, they go, I'm just a sidekick because they want to be a bit humble. And I understand that, you don't want people to be too up themselves. Yeah. But I'm also for people pumping themselves up because I think people who work in solar, are superheroes and they need to give themselves credit as well. Yeah. So I think you fall into that category, mate. So no worries. All right, well, Thanks very much, everyone, for listening. We have one more episode to go in this series from All Energy, and we'll wrap this one up. So thanks very much, everyone. See you on the next episode of Solar Sidekicks. Thank you.